Well, we had a fun day today. You notice here, there's a little something missing between my front pumpkin and my transfer case, and that's my front drive shaft. It's gone. It seems the truck is keeping itself locked in four-wheel drive, even though I've had it, manual hubs are unlocked and the electronic selector in the cab is unlocked, but it was still wanting to turn the front drive shaft. And it did so enough that it snapped the CV joint in the front drive shaft. So we're running down the road and that thing starts rattling and bucking like crazy. That's never good. So we ducked off at the first little auto parts store we saw, and luckily it was a small town sort of place. They had tools to borrow, and we yanked that sucker off there. They kept on rolling, and they went ahead and ordered a new drive shaft for us because we couldn't fix the one we had. Anyway, I guess it thumped and beat around enough that it knocked my transmission seals, the pan seal, loose somehow. So then we started dripping transmission fluid like crazy, which this truck's never done. So now we're going to see if we can't get that fixed. So I just pulled the drain plug, drained out what was left of it. Going to run around here, break all these bolts loose, and try to pull the pan down. And since we're in there, we're going to go ahead and change out the transmission fluid filter. I did not get the stuff for the torque converter filter. I'm not real familiar on that yet, but I need to at least get this fixed, so hopefully I can drive the truck to work tomorrow without pissing transmission fluid everywhere. So let's get set up here and see what we can do. I'm doing. I wonder these bolts aren't even tight. Wow. I guess the vibration from that shaft, I thought it must have beat around and actually like hit the pan and knocked it loose, but no, it's just the bolts are just completely loose. I noticed we stopped and I saw it leaking, so I was like, oh shoot, now I got a new problem. And I noticed then that I was able to reach up here and just pull out little bits of my gasket and just grab it and pull it out. And so I thought, yeah, that shaft must have smacked it and somehow made it shiver its way out of there. But no, it's just the bolts are completely loose. So just the mere vibration from that must have made it finally let go. Oops, sorry about that. That's pretty intense there. I would have never suspected that. I would have never suspected that it could just vibrate itself loose like that. But there's no torque on these bolts at all. I'm just going around checking all of them, seeing who's loose and who's not. No wonder it was leaking out the back end. That's where the bolts are all loose. That is wild. All right, let me get the rest of them here down, and then we'll see if we can get that pan down. Okay, so we got the pan down. It's well after dark now, and you guys are gonna have to deal with my headlamp here. But here's your transmission filter, and this should just kind of wiggle and come on down. Oh, buddy, wasn't expecting that. Of course, why not? Stay in my driveway with all the other oil and crap. But anyway, that's out. And there was also this bolt here had actually worked its way loose and it fell out. So when I took the oil pan down, I hear this clink. I'm like, oh shoot, that's not good. But it was just that bolt. So I'll get that torqued back up in there. And yeah, I've got my new filter and my new gasket, which the gasket face looks really clean actually. So I'll make sure I've got to scrape it all off the old gasket here, scrape that real clean. And then we'll get our new gasket on and our new filter on, get this put back together, and at least tonight, just get our transmission fluid in it enough that I can actually drive the truck to work tomorrow. That's kind of funny. I noticed that little white thing poking down a minute ago and didn't even think about what it is. That's my dipstick. It's stupid, but it's just funny to see it sticking out there. It's like, oh, that little guy, that snakes up over top the back of the engine, so that's gonna be fun. I gotta put 18 quarts of transmission fluid in this thing, a pint at a time, or 18 pints, I'm sorry. But yeah, wait, pints, quarts, oh shoot, I don't know. Anyway, it's gonna be a lot, and it's gotta all come down through that little 3/4 inch tube on the back of the engine. But let me get it put together. Okay, so we got our old transmission filter out. Here's our new one, fixing to go in. Hey, would you figure they look exactly the same? But make sure that orange O-ring there, make sure you get that out with the old one, and then it's on with the new one. I guess you'll do just like any oil change. Put a little dab of oil on there, just kind of slick it up, and then we're just gonna poke her up in there. And then I've got my oil pan, or the drain pan, cleaned up. I'll show you that in a minute. We'll put that new gasket on. So let me get this stuck up in here, and then we'll see how things go. Well, yeah, that was easy enough. Just shoves in there. There's no bolts or anything hold it in place. Once you put the drain pan on, that kind of helps hold it in place. So we got that stuck up there. Now let's go look at this pan and get that gasket on. So we've got our pan here all cleaned out, wiped out. You want to make sure you wipe it real clean. The biggest concern is leaving metal fines in there. And this is actually a magnet in the bottom, and that sucker had metal fines all over it, which of course is never a good sign to have metal shavings, but it happens. That's just one of those things. You do get wear out over time. So hopefully my transmission is still plenty sound. Lord knows the last time that thing was taken out and wiped off. So anyway, got that off, and I just used some carbon choke cleaner was all I had as far as a solvent. Just kind of sprayed it all down, wiped it out as best I could to make sure it was real clean. And then we've got this gasket here, which is a jumbled up mess. So I'm going to see if I can untangle it and get it stuck on place. I've got a little tube of RTV. I'm just going to use it just as kind of a little tack weld around the edges, just to kind of hold this thing down in place long enough for me to get some bolts through it and get it pinned up. Well, that gasket was a mess, but I tried to use some RTV around the edges, but I still couldn't get it to hold down. So I got to give credit to my wife. This was her idea. Throw some clothespins on there and just kind of pin it and hold it in place. I'm not sure if I'll be able to actually fit it up under there and fit a few bolts through it or not, but I'm going to try before I pull the clothespins off. See if I can get all the bolts started through. But if nothing else, just having those pins kind of hold that gasket down for now. It has a little bit of play in it that it wants to kind of conform to a shape. So hopefully it'll just kind of get itself laid down and relax like that, and not want to be, because it was wanting to all buckle up and twist around like it was still wadded up in that box. So anyway, let's see if we can't sneak this under the truck and get her bolts back on there.